news, federal government to lift suspension on Twitter soon. Resident doctors say no going back on strike as meeting with government ends in deadlock. And Shell agrees to pay Guinea communities 45.9 billion naira compensation for oil spills. It's great to have you join us on News Now. I am Oyin Adekunle. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has announced that the suspension of microblogging site Twitter will be lifted very soon. The minister disclosed this during the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on Wednesday. While providing updates on the government's negotiation with Twitter, Lai Mohammed also revealed that most of the conditions given to the platform by the federal government has been accepted.
The end for an amicable solution is very much in sight. We quite appreciate the anxiety of Nigerians who have been worried that 2 months after the suspension, we have not been able to finalize talks. But I just want to assure you that we have made tremendous progress. And when I say tremendous, really tremendous. We've engaged Twitter, both in writing. We've engaged Twitter. We set up a technical committee to engage Twitter. They set up their own committee too. They have met virtually, and they've exchanged correspondence about 3 times. And really, apart from dotting the I's and crossing the T's, we are actually almost there.
The meeting between the House of Representatives Committee on Health Services, the federal government, and the National Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, ended without any agreement on Tuesday. After more than 6 hours of tense deliberations, the federal government's delegation, led by Minister of State for Health, Olorunim Bemamora, threatened to implement stiffer health policies if the strike is not called off. On his part, the chairman of the committee, Tanko Sunono, asked the resident doctors to work with the Ministry of Health to come up with an agreement reached at the meeting. But NARD President Uyilawa Okwaihesuyi insisted that the meeting has not resolved the issues raised by the resident doctors, adding that no agreement has been reached. And I'm now being joined on the news by the National Publicity Secretary of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Oludotun Shikoya. Thank you very much, Dr. Dotun, for joining us on News Now. Now, what is the federal government saying as regards your union's demands?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I think it's no more a breaking news because we have not reached any agreement so far. Even despite having a long hour of meeting yesterday, they didn't give us any green light at all. We are asking for the welfare of our members. Their due salaries. And the federal government is saying they want to use 2 to 3 weeks to investigate. When they have over 4 months, you have done verifications and everything to pay them, you are holding them salary and you still want to investigate again. It's not done, which means you're adding extra 2 to 3 weeks without anything again. People are suffering. Both doctors and the masses are suffering. Government need to be sincere with whatever thing they want to do as far as possible. They have done this work. They deserve their wages. They deserve their salary.
So, Dr. Dotun, if I got you correctly, what you're saying is that after hours of meeting with the government, what the federal government brought forward was asking for 3 to 4 weeks of investigation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he's there. Everybody knows about it. It's not a closed-door meeting. It's an open-door meeting in view of the press.
I've insisted now. I mean, there are hundreds, thousands of patients who are stranded because of the strike that your union has embarked upon. Now, what's the next line of action now for your union? Are you just going to keep insisting that you will not go back on the strike, or are you going to at least for the sake of your patients now, maybe call off the action and give the government maybe some more time?
Yeah, if you recall, in early April, this same scenario happened. We're able to shift ground because we are thinking about our patient. We were able to rush back to work, thinking that federal government would do the needful. Here we are now. For over 100 days, nothing has been done. So we still want us to go back to that lane again so that we can come back by September ending and say we are going back on strike again. We are a responsible association. We love our patients. We love to go back to work. At the same time, we want to be healthy. We are human beings, for God's sake. We are not machine. People have done this work, pay them their salaries. Not that you say, okay, give me another 3 weeks. We have given you enough time. They didn't do anything. To us now, it's like we are not trusting them again. So even say, okay, we want to shift ground, they are going to do it tomorrow. They are not being sincere. To be frank, they are not being sincere.
Dr. Oludotun Oshikoya, the spokesperson of the National Association of Resident Doctors. We thank you very much for joining us on News Now. And moving on now to politics, all 13 governors of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, members of the party's Board of Trustees and other stakeholders have agreed to resolve the crisis rocking the party. Addressing newsmen at the end of the meeting, Sokoto State Governor and Chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Aminu Tambuwal, expressed readiness of the governors to continue meeting with all stakeholders until all issues around the resignation of the national chairman, Uche Secondus, as the party's head is resolved.
We are very happy to announce that we have discussed all matters and we have resolved to continue to work as a united family. This meeting has agreed that immediately the neck of the party should be convened for the party to constitute the National Convention Planning Committee, and the early convention should be held latest by the end of October. Also, that the zoning committee for the party position should also be constituted by the same National Executive Committee to be held immediately. So we thank members of the party for holding out, for your prayers, for your support, and well-meaning Nigerians who have been waiting patiently for the resolution of these issues.
Multinational oil company Shell Petroleum has agreed to pay 45.9 billion naira to the Ogoni people of Rivers State for the losses they've suffered from oil spillage that ravaged their communities. Now, this comes 10 years after Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court in Lagos ordered Shell to pay the compensation. The company, through its lawyer, announced the decision to pay up the money while addressing Justice Ahmed Mohammed of the Federal High Court, Abuja, on Wednesday. The senior lawyer sought the judge's permission to pay the debt through the chief registrar of the court, but it was eventually agreed that the monetary compensation will be paid to the Ogonis through their lawyer, Lucius Nwosu. And so what exactly does this payment of 45.9 billion naira mean for the people of Ogoni in Rivers State? Let's discuss that with environmental activist Leo Otaku. Of course, he joins us from Benin City, Edo State, via Skype. Thank you very much, Mr. Otaku, for joining us on the news. Now, this is no doubt a win for the people of Ogoni. Now, although it took 10 years for Shell to agree and obey the court ruling, now this is coming at this time. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think justice delayed is, they say it's justice denied, but it is better late than never. Those of us in the front line of environmental activism in the country, we are happy with the judgment of Justice Ahmed Ramat Muhammad. This is a welcome development for the persons, the people of Ogoni, who have suffered all forms of environmental degradation and hazards over the years. You go to Ogoni land and see the level of environmental degradation that the people have suffered. The compensation that is coming, I'm sure, will now be used by the people to begin to address a whole lot of issues. issues of livelihood that have been destroyed, issues of access to water and sanitation that have been destroyed, issues of environmental pollution. And this coming hand in hand with the Ogoni cleanup that is ongoing by the federal government, I think this will at least give a signal to the people, I mean, particularly the multinational oil companies that are operating with impunity in the Niger Delta, that it is not business as usual. That if you must come to do business in Nigeria, particularly in the Niger Delta, you must respect our laws, the laws of the people. By and large, I hope that this judgment will go a long way in assuaging the feelings of people, the victims, of this huge environmental degradation.
And we do know that these compensations and judgments like this are supposed to act as deterrent for oil majors who operate in that region. But beyond compensations now, what do you think can bring about a permanent solution to this issue of oil spillage in oil-producing communities?
Yeah, it is important that government, particularly NOSDRA, the institutions that are saddled with the responsibility of enforcing our environmental laws, they should live up to their expectation of the people. They should live up to expectation of Nigerians, because if laws are being strictly enforced, Shell will not operate the way they did in Ogoniland. And I expect that going forward, our government, responsible ministries, departments, and agencies should ensure that they live up to expectation. If that had happened before now, I'm not sure if the level of damage to the environment and to people's livelihood that Ogoni people suffered over these years would have happened. So we expect going forward that the agencies of government that are responsible for enforcement of environmental laws should rise up to their duties.
Well, Mr. Leo Otaku, environmental activist, we thank you very much for joining us on News Now and for sharing your thoughts with us. And the West African Examination Council, WAEC, has announced that candidates would be required to submit their National Identification Numbers (NIN) to register for the Senior School Certificate Examination as from 2022. The head of WAEC Nigerian office, Patrick Aregon, in a press briefing in Lagos, disclosed that the decision was in line with the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. During the briefing, Aregon also announced that the examination will run from Monday, August 16th to Friday, October 8th across the African sub-region.
To acquaint you with the preparations we have made for the smooth and successful conduct of the WAS for School Candidates 2021, as well as to witness the official launch of our new product called Request Management System and WAEC Chatbot, designed to address the immediate needs of our stakeholders. In accordance with the final international timetable, the West African Senior School Certificate Examination for School Candidates 2021 will take place throughout the sub-region from Monday, August 16 to Friday, October 8, 2021. However, the examination will end in Nigeria on the 30th of September 2021, spanning a period of 7 weeks. The statistics for the examination shows that 19,425 recognized secondary schools, comprising 8,052 public and 11,373 private schools, spread across the nooks and crannies of the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Let me also use this medium to announce that as we continue to make progress in the conduct of the Council's business in Nigeria, National Identification Number, NIN, will become a major requirement for registration for the WAS examination with effect from the WAS for School Candidates 2022 and subsequent diets. That means no NIN, no entry.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, World Bank lists Nigeria and 9 others as countries with high debt risk exposure. Details of that and more shortly. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on News Now. Here's a quick reminder of some of our top stories tonight. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has announced that the suspension of microblogging site Twitter will be lifted very soon. The Minister disclosed this during the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on Wednesday. While providing updates on the government's negotiation with Twitter, Lai Mohammed also revealed that most of the conditions given to the platform by the government has been accepted. And we also told you that multinational oil company Shell Petroleum has agreed to pay 45 billion naira to the Ogoni people of Rivers State for the losses they've suffered from the oil spillage that ravaged their communities. This comes 10 years after Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court in Lagos ordered Shell to pay the compensation to the people of Ogoni. And in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also join us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
The federal government has dismissed reports that Nigeria is being used as a testing ground for the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. On August 1st, Nigeria received over 4 million doses of the Moderna vaccine donated by the U.S. government, which is scheduled to be rolled out on August 16th. But some Nigerians have expressed doubts over the safety of the vaccine, especially after the rollout date was postponed. Speaking during an interview on Wednesday, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, described the speculation that the country is being made a testing ground as baseless, unscientific and deliberate attempt to dissuade people from taking it, while stressing that the Moderna vaccine is safe. I will take another break here and return with business stories. Please stay with us.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
Wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. Now, up next is business news with Abisola Adebayo. Abisola.
Thank you very much, Oyin. Welcome to Business News. The World Bank has listed Nigeria among top 10 countries with high debt risk exposure. This is contained in the fiscal year 2021 financial statement for International Development Association, a World Bank financial institution that offers concessional loans and grants to the poorest developing countries. According to the financial statement, a total of $19.54 billion loan has been agreed to be disbursed to Nigeria, including $1.46 billion loan approved but not yet signed, and $11.47 billion outstanding loan. Well, joining me on the news to shed more light on the report by the World Bank is MD and Chief Executive Officer of Dignity Finance and Investment Limited, Chijioke Ikechukwu. Thank you so much for joining us on the news. Now, what do you make of this World Bank's ranking?
World Bank, like we all know, is an international development bank taking care of all the activities of countries in the world. Usually, before credit facilities are given to all these countries, they do their own appraisals. And in the appraisal of World Bank concerning these countries, they have looked at certain risks. You know, of course, here we're talking about country risks and the counterparty risks, which they have considered. And when all these considerations were done, they saw that the countries mentioned, including Nigeria, India, all the countries that they have mentioned, Tanzania, Kenya, Ghana, Uganda, as the case may be, that these countries have this risk, they have risk exposure with them. Now, in considering countries by countries, the various appraisals are going to be different, and that is how the ranking has been done. You know, so as I was talking about country credit risks, there are other risks to be considered. You know, foreign exchange risk is going to be considered, which is also linked to the country risk. When you talk about the counterparty risk, it's also linked somehow. Now, you talk about some kind of country risks. Also, it can be determined by the level of risks associated with insecurity in Nigeria and some other things that they have considered. So they will look at your debt to GDP ratio. They will look at your debt to revenue ratio. They will look at a whole lot of things. They are going to be watching the population growth against the GDP growth. And when they watch all these things, then they will place all this ranking. So this is just to enable them to put these countries on a watch list to see what they can do and to make sure if they are requesting for more credit facilities, they have to probably say, we're not going to give you again because of the risks we have identified. And so that is how some of these appraisals are done.
Now, to what extent do you think Nigeria's growing debt will affect chances of economic revival?
Well, it depends on a whole lot of things. It depends on how Nigeria is assuring the development banks all over the world that they can really utilize the facilities, the credit facilities given to us. You know, it depends again on the level of transparency that they have seen on Nigeria. It also depends on how well Nigeria is able to convince the whole world that the world corruption still has been reduced from the affairs of Nigeria. So it also depends on how we have been able to utilize the ones given to us and what we have been able to make out of what has been given to us. And it also depends on how the insecurity in the country can be pushed aside or, you know, ameliorated in order for us to improve our economy. These are some of the things that will determine whether Nigeria can get more or not. They're also going to be looking at, like I said before, what part of our revenue can we use to pay back this? In other words, they're looking at that debt to revenue ratio. When that ratio is not looking very well, like that of Nigeria, it may be difficult for them to approve further. But of course, sometimes they may also want to approve further in order to remedy, to have some remedial arrangements with Nigeria. So I don't think it's they have closed the doors against Nigeria. But of course, when this ranking is done, it determines the amount of funds that will be made more available to Nigeria and these countries that are listed.
Mr. Chijioke Ikechukwu, thank you so much for your time. We take a break here and return with a review of the stock market. In a quick move, maybe even faster than traders and analysts expected, the local equities market bounced back with a 0.69% gain as the bull took charge for 2 consecutive trading days with over 142 billion naira added to the market. Moving on the top gainers for today, healthcare giants Farmdeco and Nemet were the major factors which propelled the market's main index back into gaining streaks, and at the same time 19 other equities added some support. The rebound, however, were countered by losses from equities like FTN Cocoa and Wema Bank Nigeria with a combined 10 kobo loss. At the close of trading today, that's our market summary, a total volume of 181 million units of shares valued at over 2 billion naira exchange hands in 3,599 deals, as you can see right here. And on the global market, the FTSE, the Dow Jones and the Nikkei. The FTSE is at its highest level since February 2020 as US stocks advanced on Wednesday with optimism about a gradual economic recovery from the coronavirus and an $8.6 billion buyout from software security firm Harvest, boosting sentiment. That's why the FTSE is currently trading at 0.83% increase in a continued winning streak for Treasury yields, and the Senate approving a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. The US stock Dow Jones is also trading in the greens at 0.53% increase. Asian stocks Nikkei in the same vein is also trading at 0.65% increase. That's all on Stock Market Review. Over to Oyin for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much for that update, Abisola. Now, days after Guinea confirmed the death of a person infected with the Marburg virus, the World Health Organization, WHO, says about 100 contacts have been identified so far. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus at a press briefing clarified that although Marburg is a very different virus from the coronavirus, many of the elements of response are the same, including isolation, tracing, and quarantining their contacts.
The Ministry of Health of Guinea informed WHO of a case of Marburg virus disease in the country's southwest in a man who died 8 days after onset of symptoms. This is the first known case of Marburg in West Africa. WHO and our partners are supporting Guinea's Ministry of Health to investigate the source of the outbreak, trace contacts, and inform the local community about how to protect themselves. About 150 contacts have been identified and are being followed up, including 3 family members and a health worker who have been identified as high-risk close contacts. Marburg is a very different virus to the one that caused COVID-19, but many of the elements of the response are the same: isolating and caring for those infected, tracing and quarantining their contacts, and engaging local communities in the response. There is no licensed vaccine for Marburg, although there are vaccines under development. And WHO is working with our partners to seek opportunities to assess them during this outbreak through the R&D blueprint for epidemics.
It's now time for Entertainment Report on News Now.
Farida Fasisi, the widow of the late music star Sound Sultan, has for the first time broken her silence since his death. The mother of 3 took to her Instagram page on Wednesday, where she penned an emotional note to her late husband. She also used the opportunity to thank everyone who has supported her family since his death. Sound Sultan passed away on Sunday, July 11th, at the age of 44 after battling with throat cancer. Nollywood actor Williams Uchemba has objected to the popular quote, "You can be whatever you want to be." According to the movie star, in a lengthy post shared via his Instagram page on Tuesday, said that the quote has led many to their untimely death. Uchemba went on to say that every individual on earth was created for a different purpose, but the biggest problem they face is how to discover their purpose. However, advised people trying to find their identity to be what God wants them to be and not what they want to be. Nigerian singer Adekunle Gold knows he is a handsome man, and he does not even pretend not to know it. The father of one never hesitates to share photos of self-appreciation on social media. The singer crooner recently posted a picture on his IG page, a photo of his newly acquired gold-plated teeth. Gold held down his lower lips to show off his new set of grooves, for which he says is one more reason to keep smiling. Gold is definitely not leaving any stone unturned in retouching his brand from Adekunle Gold to AG Baby. And that is all that we have for you in the entertainment segment of News Now.
And in sports, 30 minutes after Paris Saint-Germain officially announced Lionel Messi's signing, fans flooded the club's online store and snapped up all available jerseys of the six-time Ballon d'Or winner. Messi arrived in Paris on Tuesday for his medical ahead of completing a sensational free transfer to the Ligue 1 side. PSG confirmed that the 34-year-old Argentine would wear the number 30 shirt, and 30 minutes after the announcement, the jersey was sold out. And that's the size of our bulletin this evening. I am Oyi Adekunle. Thank you for watching.